Now that we added the bottom navigation to our app, I'd like to test it on Android and see if everything works correctly. In particular, I want to see what happens when we press the System Back button. So here I can press this button to add a new job, and as long as we use just one navigation stack, then the back button should do the right thing automatically. And that is to pop one route at a time until there is only one route left, and if we press the back button again, then we leave the app. However, if we have more than one navigation stack, then things might not work as we expect. For example, I could tap on one job to show a list of entries, and if I press the back button now, I might expect to get back to the jobs page, but instead we are leaving the app. In summary, we need some way of controlling what happens when we press the back button if we are using multiple navigators, and the way we can do that is with a special widget called WillPopScope. So what we are going to do is to wrap our Cupertino home scaffold with a new WillPopScope widget, and this takes a child and an onWillPop argument, which is a closure that returns a feature of type bool. And we can use this to pop the route inside the current navigation stack if needed. However, in order to do that, we need to be able to access the navigator state for the current tab. And we can do this by defining a global navigator key for each tab. So I'm going to comment out this line for now. And then up here, I'm going to define a new final map of type tab item and global key of navigator state, like this. I'm going to call this navigator keys. And here I want to define three key value pairs. So the first one is going to be a tab item dot jobs column, and then I'm going to have a global key on navigator state like this, and then I'm going to copy paste this and have tab item dot entries and tab item dot account like this. So this is similar to what I have done for the widget builders, and all I'm doing is to define a separate global key for each tab. And then I want to give this map as an argument to the Cupertino home scaffold. So over here, I'm going to declare it as a final variable, and I'm going to add it as a required argument to the constructor like this. And down here in the Cupertino tab view, I can add a new argument, which is a navigator key. And here I can just pass navigator keys of item like this. And finally, I can get back to the home page and pass this as an argument. So here I can pass navigator keys of navigator keys like this. Okay, so with this change, we have declared three navigator keys in the home page, and we can use them to access the navigator state of each tab. So now we have everything we need to implement the onWillPop callback in our WillPopScope widget. So I'm going to type in some code, and then I'm going to explain it. So here I'm going to implement a closure, which is an async closure, and I'm going to return not await, and then navigator keys of index current tab dot current state dot maybe pop like this. Okay, so let's see how this works. First of all, the onWillPop callback is called every time we press on the back button, and inside here we get a navigator for the current tab, and then we access the navigator state like this. And this gives us access to the usual operations that we can do with navigators, such as push and pop. And in this case, we call a method called maybePop, which will only pop if there is more than one route on the navigator stack, and in this case, it will return true. However, if there is only one route, it will not pop and it will return false. So the result of this entire expression is a Boolean value, and here we use the exclamation mark to negate this value, so that the onWillPop callback will receive a value of true if the maybePop operation returned false. And what this means in practice is that I can push a new route to my navigator, and if I press the back button, then this is popped. and then the default behavior of the back button is restored, which means that we leave the app if we press it one more time. To summarize, we can use WillPopScope to control the behavior of the back button on Android, and we can define some global navigator keys that we can interact with when the back button is pressed. And as we have seen, by combining these things together, we can customize the way routes are popped on Android. And by the way, these changes have no effect on iOS, where we don't have a back button. Okay, so let's continue on the next video.